You have to all those things. So obviously, you have a kind of knowledge as also be like a hair doctor, like a psychologist. We hear all those stories per the day. So some in a way you can say we are hair doctors. I think hairdressers, if they have a good hand, they can do anything. They can cook, they can clean, they can do anything because the hands is the tool. And obviously, if you have a normal brain, you can observe, you're knowledgeable, you can understand, you can see somebody does something, you can copy or do things. When you call Beny's Hair Salon, everybody wants service by you. Doesn't matter who comes to the salon because they see them, they want you. So basically, you cannot even tell to other people, hey, she's better than me. They know they want you.
Zenoti presents Growth Diaries, the fascinating stories behind the best brands in beauty, wellness, and fitness. Hosted by Sudhir Koneru.
Today's story is about resilience, passion, and the power of a dream. It's about a man who came to the US with nothing but ambition and built something extraordinary, one salon at a time. Meet Beny, the visionary behind Hair Bar NYC, a salon chain with 9 thriving locations across New York and Florida. But to him, this isn't just a business, it's a movement. His stylists aren't just hairstylists, they're hair doctors, trained to transform not just hair, but confidence and self-expression. From humble beginnings to a revolutionary brand, Beny's journey is inspiring, and today we get to hear it straight from him. Welcome to Grow Diaries, Beny.
Good morning.
Morning. Good morning. Thanks for making the time. And I thought I really want to start with your with your personal journey and about how you came to the US and how did you get into this business of hair? Because you came to the US not like with a lot of money or anything as a family. So maybe I want to get to the grassroots of knowing you as a person before we talk about Hair Bar as a business.
Good question, sir. Thank you for coming first of all, and thank you for being this pleasure to give us opportunity to share my story with you guys. To a story of how I came to be a hairdresser, and when I was 17 and a half. That age, I came originally from Israel. I was looking for additional work, and I was working already daily, but I was looking for some in the evening to keep myself busy. And I came across an ad says hairdresser needed, assistant needed without experience in a model agency. So I heard models. Wow, I said, wow, it's a great opportunity. I want to be with models. Obviously we love women and stuff, and also, wow, what's 17 and a half, you're young. And I said, it's a great opportunity to, to see and start, what is it? So I went to that place for interview, and I went down there. It was in the basement, and I thought I'm walking in a model. I was marketing, walk to model agency, and I see a lot of parents with a lot of kids, and I asked for, name was guy's name is Avi. I said it was Avi. So he said, hey, in the back. I went to the back. It was inside, but it's small salon. And he introduced myself, and then tells me, hey, it's an interview. What we're gonna do here? I'm gonna teach you how to do hair, but you're gonna work for free. And I said, you know what? It's a profession. People usually pay for profession to learn. So I said, you know what? I don't mind. I don't need it kind of. Obviously, everybody needs money, but it was not a rush because I live with my mother. So, and then he's saying, I thought, first of all, I was coming, I thought I'm going to see models. But who was the models? The models was kids. So they were doing booking for kids. So what he was doing was to do 3 styles for the kids. They're changing the clothing, so they do 3 visions of book. So obviously they promised to parents, oh, your kid's going to be, a Bollywood or Hollywood star, so, and that's why that place, they were doing the what they called the style and fixing the hair. And so he slowly started teaching me how to do hair. What he was doing there, he was taking clients, and I was watching how does the hair. But then he let me know one day, he let me to apply a color on someone. I never did any color apply, so color you can mess up. So I have a good memory, and I thank God. I guess God blessed me with that and good hands. And I did a color, and after we left the work, after all, he called me later at night. He says, Benny, if in future, if you want to stay in the hair industry, I think you should, because it's you have it, you have the skills, you have the approach, you have it. I would definitely recommend to stay in the business. Go with it. And after 6 months I was there, I left the place. And when I was 22, I was 20, and I already cannot find myself what to do in Israel. I was kind of looking for what to do, and I kind of lost. So one of my friends said, hey, I'm going to the United States. And I said, Lord, I'm going to join you. So when I came here the first time when I was 20, in 2020, in 2000, sorry, 2000, exactly 2000, I came in March, and I came here, it was very cold, New York. I came to New York, it was very cold. It was extremely cold. And it was also, that time was blizzard, it was snow. And so basically I was here for 1 week, and my family coming from diamond industry, jewelry industry. And I never was attracted to diamond or jewelry. So they offered me a job in 47th Street. If I don't know if you're familiar, it's like, I guess, one of the richest street in the world, diamond industry. I worked there, I came to some place to do, they taught me to wield gold. So I came there like at noon. So I sit in noon time in the chair, they showed me how to do one. There was a clock in front of me. So I was doing one, watching the clock, 12:03. Doing another one, 12:05. 12:15, I stand up, I said, it's not for me. I left the place, and I came back to my family member home, kind of upset. I didn't like the job. So the lady my mother's cousin, his wife, she was a hairdresser. I told her I did hair in Israel for 6 months, and I liked it. She said, hey, Benny, you want to be successful in America, be a hairdresser. Mm-hmm. So you know what? I took her advice. I tried to change my ticket back to Israel, and I put my ticket back, and I went back home. And when I landed, I went right away to my room, took the checks, and went to find a school, beauty school, and I give them texture, and I registered myself to start education. And from there, I finished my 1 year, then I came back in 2021, I'm back again here. And that's why I started my industry, like being a hairdresser. But I didn't work right away when I came to America. I didn't have the language, I didn't have the license, and I didn't have much experience, because when you finish the school, basically you know basic stuff. Yeah. And they're teaching you so many things, you're not even gonna use it in the school, because they have to teach you cosmetology, they have to teach you everything, right? And I didn't have like much. I didn't know how to blow dry a little bit. I had to do like a little basic haircut, but not extreme. And that's how I came to be getting this industry.
So that's interesting. So you had this original, exposure to hair, but then you went back to proper hair school and learned the whole craft and came back again to America. And yours would be like, the much sought after American dream, which is, come to America as an immigrant and build a successful business. So now you have your skills, you've come to America, you're of course adjusting to the culture, and you didn't just start doing, of course you started working in hair, I think, but then you were also doing other jobs in parallel as you were building your life at the early days, right? So how did you first start officially working in the salon, and how did you come about owning a salon?
So in 2001, I came here. I wanted to find a job as a hairdresser, as an assistant. I went to a couple salons. They didn't, I guess, I don't speak English. I don't have a license. So they told me, go learn and maybe come a couple of years. So what I didn't have a choice. I worked for a moving company for 6 months. Then I worked after carpet cleaning for 2 years. Then I did construction for 2 years.
Wow.
In 2003, 2004, one of my friends, we used to live in Queens, New York. So my friend, we moved to Long Island, and one of my friends was dating a hairdresser. So, and that time I was doing construction, but not doing so much great. So my friend said, hey, I met this hairdresser. She's Israeli. You want to work with her, but go back to your industry? I said, would love to. So I went to the interview with that lady. It was in Widmer. And I came over there and she told me, hey, nice to meet you. If you want to work, 50-50. So 50-50. Usually people work 50-50 when you know the profession very well and you have a clientele, or she's going to give you clients. And what happened is I started and I used to make maybe $20-$30 a week. She used to give me maybe 2-3 blowjobs a week. So, 50-50, do the math. They used to be, the blowjob was $22. So what, $11 for per blowout and tip. So I used to go home $34 per week. So you'd say, Benny, how you pay your rent? Because I don't have parents here. I don't have family here. I have nobody. I used to do at nights. I used to do clearing carpets. I used to do small posts in the neighborhoods, in the wallpaper coupons, in the papers, in this construction. All my customers used to give me some work to paint the houses so I can pay my rent. And how I got, then after 1 year, I was working with that lady. She met someone actually from Seattle. He used to work for Microsoft.
Okay.
And she chose to travel to him when they find themselves on Jaded, I think. And they got married. And she got pregnant. And then her husband wanted to say, hey, sell the salon. I don't want you to have a salon. And she did. She did salon to sold to me the salon. So I didn't have much money. My mother gave me like $3,000-$4,000, and she sold me salon for $10,000. And I bought for other $5,000. She gave me payments. I guess I don't remember. It was a long time ago. And from there, I had my first salon with her.
If you're enjoying the show, we would really appreciate it if you left us a review on Apple Podcasts. It only takes a minute and it helps others find the podcast. You can also follow along on YouTube and Spotify so you never miss an episode. So that was your first entry, I guess. They say we meet people serendipitously for specific reasons. So this lady you met early in life was the root cause of getting your first salon. So now you have your first salon, which you built while working on other jobs, which is very inspiring, other work you're doing on the side. So how did you make sure that the salon has customers? Because she's moving on and you have to make sure you have customers.
So she promised me she's going to work with me. So I work for her. She gave me 50-50. Now it's my time to get 50 from her. But she had the clientele. She used to bring she had the whole clientele, Then what happened is she went to maternity leave for 2 months. So meantime, I was holding her customers. I did her a lot of customers. And when she came back after a week. She said, Benny, I'm very sorry. I cannot stay here. It was my salon. I don't feel comfortable. I have to leave. And I said, look, I don't have clientele. I don't know how I'm going to hold it. You sold me the salon. You told me you're going to be with me, You're going to help me until I build myself. And now you're leaving me with the salon, with the rent and everything. And she said, look, sorry, I have to go. And obviously I have a pride. I'm kind of stubborn in that way. And I said, no problem. It's your choice. You can leave. She left. Now I'm sitting like this in my chair. I'm watching the salon, long salon. I'm saying, what am I going to do now? How am I going to get clients? And all the clients was hers. And one of my clients, I had like about 10 clients. And my English was not great that time. I only 4 years in America. So that felt bad for me. So one of them, my clients, what they did is she went to do sign. The blowjob, I think, was $27. She did blowjob for $22. So I put the sign on the window for $22. Then I started getting customers. And across the street was a coffee shop. So I used to see a lady going to the coffee shop. I used to take $1, like I'm buying a coffee, go after running to there, stand behind her. She's buying the stuff. And start talking to her, hey, ma'am, how are you? My name is Benny. I'm across the street. If you want a consultation, I can give you for a few consultations for free. If you want it, I'm more happy. I'm across the street. If you want, come with me. They kind of felt I'm cute, kind of trying my best, And she came to sit on my chair. And, she gave me opportunity to do her hair. And she loved it, And from there, I went to the other. So I was in that location for 5 years. We took a lease. And that location kind of was off. It was a street, a lot of cars, but there was no parking and people cannot stop. It's also it's an awkward shape, like a pizza size, like a small window, but gets wider. Kind of people didn't know you there. So my list was up, and I moved to either friends in that street, at a restaurant. I have other friend named is Maurizio. He has a clothing store. He's about that time he was about 70 years old. So he was my kind of mentor. Every morning I used to come to work. The salon was open 9. I used to come 8 o'clock. So all the time I used to sit with these mature people, and I used to brainstorm with them. Get the knowledge, and they used to tell me and stuff before I open the salon. I'm horrible. I like to wake up early, so that's what was my goal. So then he found me a place in Cedarhurst. So it's like was big shopping center, a supermarket, traffic, amazing. And I took that place. The rental I rent for it was 1,700. The existing place, the landlord want to increase the rent for 2,100. And then they said, you know what? Sometimes we get the habit, we get used to something, they want to leave it. It's a human habit. Sometimes I think change is good. I recommend sometimes change. Sometimes they say in our language, new place give you new opportunities, new things, right? So it's sometimes good to change. So it was hard for me to do the change, but I did the change. And I moved to there, and it was empty space. It was a nail salon. So it was easy for me. I liked the music. Before I did anything, I brought my baggage for the speakers, for the speaker, and I started with the stereo music, and I did the construction myself, painting. I used to do those things, plumbing, what I need. Brought furniture, brought mirrors, it was great start over there. It was a good area.
So that was your first salon that you completely set up on your own, basically. So that's good. And so this salon was more vibrant because it had a lot of traffic. You had more business here. But then I remember we discussed you had done some work with Groupon, which was pretty unique in filling your salon with more people. Because marketing and all that in those days, given that you were bootstrap, it's not like you had money to go spend on marketing and all.
Right. So the first thing, the booking system came in the market 2011 or 12, 13 started getting in the market fully. Before that, people were using pen and paper. So I'm 2005, even though being all location, I find a system called Touch Suite. I don't know if you guys know it. The first system was existing in the market for salon. It was a POS system. It comes computer, comes with everything, register, comes everything together. You have to use this system. It cannot. It's not like using Zenotti today. You're using browser. So it's different, right? So I knew that time. I have to collect emails and phone numbers. I knew from that day. I was telling you, I was sitting with the people early every morning with different people. So people had high education in marketing. So they told me, Beny, they taught me how to be in Google listing #1. So they told me, Beny, you have to get the reviews and ask for reviews. In my salon, I was #1 in the Google listing. I was #1. So I knew already something less about marketing. Comes to the group we mentioned, when I took my first location in Cedarhurst in Spruce Street in 2010, and I had a next door to us. It was a barber who, his name is Mel. He opened the store for barbershop. So remember the lady I told about the salon from her? So my salon was here, and they're about 7, 8 ladies. They used to rent a chair in one salon. All of them rent a chair, like they had a salon suite. In that salon suite, they was in the end of the corner. So the barbershop, after 2 weeks, he opened his barbershop. He realized he cannot have a salon. He cannot pay the rent. Now he put in salon for sale. So those people who renting the salon suites, they want to buy his salon. So, I did the math. I don't want an extra salon next to me, competition to me. So that year, I got married 2010. I got married. And I said, I get allowance, from my in-laws. I get about $10,000. I came to that mailman, said the mail, the mailman's mail, the barbershop. I said, hey, I heard you want to sell the salon. He said, yes, I want to sell a salon. How much you want? He said, 14,000. So I give him the 14,000. I said, now you're going to work with me. So I did the regular hair salon here, and here we did the barber shop. So those people who want to come here hate me because I took the space. They know nowhere to go. They have nowhere to go because I took the space. So now they didn't have a choice.
So they came work to you.
They came to rent chair from me.
Okay, great.
So my first location got boosted. All of a sudden, another assistant. All of a sudden, I had about 5 people renting a chair. Not just hair, also nails. And she brought also boutiques. So I had a boutique. So, they're selling the, the chains and the jewelry and stuff like this. All of a sudden, I'm collecting $4,000 rent. Just rent, and then also think about it, all the customers they brought in. And so slowly, I'm making a living, right? Until I was always negative.
Yeah. So in the early days itself, looks like when people still didn't discover the power of Google. Even now, I remind all our customers saying, Google is the number one place to get your customers, get your listings good, get your reviews good, and every customer always looks at Google before they come. But you figured that out very early, so that's nice. And so now you're in a vibrant salon. And I'm assuming after that, you went on to expand and open additional salons.
So with that salon, the next to the barber one, I tried to run the barber shop. It didn't work because with a lot of salons, they're charging $6 per pair haircut. And I cannot $6 haircut around. So also that time I was working at trade shows. My friend owned the company and I worked for them. So I learned the back end of the trade shows. Usually when you go to trade shows as a stylist, you're going to learn about new products, you learn about maybe some techniques. So now I was actually, working in a trade show, so I can see the back end. So my friend used to sell keratin treatments. Those 24 karat, they were first keratin. So I got the idea, I said, look, my friend, and I offered them partnership. I said, hey, I have a next salon next to me. I have it, but I want to do something with it. I don't make money with it. I said, Groupon came out in the market. I said, let's do only keratin for $99. My friend said, I don't want this. It's a headache because he had the company on the price. He's very excited. So he doesn't want extra headache. So I finished the show. I came back. Excuse me. I came to the mailman and the mail guy. I said, mail, we're very sorry. I don't think it's going to work out. I need a salon for myself. I'm going to do different services. I called the guy, AC guys. I told him I need a ventilation here, exhaust fan. He put in the mushroom thing like in restaurants and the roof. Then what I did, I went to Groupon, as we mentioned, Groupon. So what Groupon did to our market is actually destroy the market for us. Basically, we used to charge for keratin treatment between $300 to $400, and I was good with it. I'm a dental oriented, and I had to make sure every hair in the right place. And that's what people loved what I do because everything came out great. With that said, so I see the Groupon right now selling keratin for $99. So now people, why they should pay $200 to $300 when they can pay $99? So you know what? My friend who advised me on Google, he used to do teeth whitening. So he used to sell on Groupon. He said, Beny, you should go on Groupon. You're gonna do good. You're gonna get all the new customers. So you know what? I will take your advice. So I went to Groupon, I put $99, you're not gonna lose her. People calling nonstop. So instead of me, I was me and other 2 girls doing keratin. Now I have 5 girls doing keratin. And people just coming. And the people who used to do by me, now they bring the whole family because of the price more relevant, makes sense to them, I guess. And that's how I started with that location. Start booming. So I do this hair. I did the hair in this hair, and the keratin we did in this location because the keratin in the beginning we came out 2005 and 6 had a lot of fumes, and that fumes it was giving headache, and other people were getting hair color bother them. So that's what I'm looking on purposely we did just for keratin.
Cool. So that's how I guess in terms of whether it's Groupon, Google, your journey through meeting the right people, the stylists and others who came work with you, etc. You got a pretty vibrant business, looks like, and people, enough clientele. And from there, I guess you did expand and added more salons along the way. But more than adding the salons, and I understand the history around the service and the quality of what you do, is you at some point decided you're going to build your own products. You were going to these trade shows, you were getting exposure to learn about, selling, what people do to sell products and vendors, etc. Why did you come up with this? It seems very, even at 9 salons, most people just use pick a brand like a L'Oreal, Vela, and they, Schwarzkopf and say, that's my hair product. Whereas you decided, no, I'm going to invest time to actually build a whole retail product line, not just, small 1 or 2 products. So
You're right, because I got into the product industry because I see my friends doing it, so I find a way how to do it. And when I went to my first look, actually, I started in 5,000 in Long Island. So my first one called Beny's Hair Salon. So when I came out with the product idea, when I opened my first location in Manhattan, I came with the name because what happened is when you call Beny's Hair Salon, everybody wants service by you. Doesn't matter who comes to the salon because they see your name, they want you. So basically, you cannot even tell to other people, hey, she's better than me. They want you. That's kind of this. So then I said, I don't want to be famous. It's not my thing. I have to come up with a different name when I go to Manhattan. So in Manhattan, I open a store. I make it short, so with the product. So open a store over there in Manhattan. Came with a Hair Bar NYC. So it was very chic, was nice. People told me, why you not call Hair Bar? Why you call NYC? I said, look, I think NYC has a nice sound of it. It's NYC is one of the, everybody want to come to Manhattan. Everybody want to be in Manhattan. Everybody want to come to New York City. It's a capital of the world. I will assume that time, or I'm obviously still up to date, not that you used to be. And I said, I think it sounds good. And people actually made fun of me, but and after that, I opened the first location in Manhattan. Sir, we opened the first day. First day. It usually doesn't happen. I don't know how many people it happens. We had about 4 people there working first day. And we were so extremely busy. I cannot tell you. We also got bad review that day because we couldn't handle that much business. Then after 6 months, I said, business is going good. I said, you know what? Let me open another location. Test it if it's one we're lucky because of the location. We opened in Madison Avenue, 36. I'm talking about 400 square feet, like this room. And I managed to put 6 stations, and same day we're busy too, booming again. And I used to buy from my friends the treatments every month, $10,000. And back in the day, I used to do also real estate. I used to buy a house and flip it or do the construction. What happened is, I used to take my mind from beauty to the construction. So I said, you know what? Let me stop doing real estate. I'm going to take my money from real estate and invest in products. And that's how I did my first product. I did shampoo and conditioner mask and serum. I find private label in California. Amazing products. Charge me a lot, but it's worthwhile because it comes to products, let's say you are a profession, doesn't matter. If we're working, let's say you are do coding in the beauty, like in a computer side, you want to make sure you're using the finest plugins, the finest tools you can use, finest computers can give you enough power to have enough work with it to make. So as a hairstylist, you want to have enough good product to make sure the work comes out beautiful. And also it's for your customers. It's not like you want to resell it. The first I did is just to make sure my customers get the right thing for their hair, because I have experience of 25 years of experience. I want to make sure go to manufacturers, get the right products and right ingredients. The other companies that you mentioned, it's vary. They're always changing or discontinue, and also the prices they raise. The distributors don't want to sell this way, they buy this way. So it's kind of always something going on. So that's why I say, you know what? Let me make my product. From there, today we have about from A to Z, combs, extensions, colors, name it. Well, we have everything from A to Z.
But you built this product line, but as you said first, you were using it in your stores for your customers with the passion to deliver the quality of service. But then now you're actually selling it to people. And how did that come about, where you're actually distributing it to other salons? It's not just about you using it. How many salons use your product?
So you have a good point. So what happens when you manufacture products, you don't do 5 or 10. You do 5,000, 3,000, right? And also they have a shelf, like how much it can be on a shelf. So I definitely don't want to sell to other salons, but I didn't have a choice. That means I have to sell to get always fresh products. So I started doing trade shows. 2014, I started doing trade shows. Then it also gave me an idea. I said, look, if I put my product every home, so if I'm going to open tomorrow in future every salon, if people see in the shower Hair Bar NYC, if they're going to sit downstairs Hair Bar NYC, why should I go to the salon? If they have good products, why should I go try the service? And that gave me idea. I want to be in every home in America, So usually salons sell to the customers, and how that gets to the salon and for homeowners or people who buy it. So, and also it's a quality control of products. So we selling we're going to trade, but we're not kind of killing it. But when people find us with the trade, so kind of we're doing this in a small, like we're about selling about 1,000, 2,000 salons, more or less. Let's say we're selling 1,000 salons all the time, 2,000 like they buy every couple of months, something like this.
So that's pretty impressive still. I mean, for someone who's, was very heads down building your own service business, you could actually find the time to go sell this to a couple of thousand salons.
Yeah, it took time actually, but yeah, it took time. It takes years, but still, it's a lot of education, a lot of, it takes time.
Cool.
It takes time. And while we're here, it took me I'm doing the project since 2014, 13th. So we're 2025, so it's 11 years already.
Yeah. Cool. But so, of course, opening salons in New York City, real estate, doing all that, obviously it takes a lot of courage to go out and open all these stores, and you were getting successful. And then along the way, you've come up with trying to explore franchising models for your brand, right? And your franchising model is a little different where, most people I know, when you franchise, you sell franchise rights and they pay you some money and then they have to go build a salon and then you help them with running the salon and systems. But you don't approach it that way. You want to expand on how you approach franchising for your brand.
Good question, sir. The reason why the way we're doing it because see, we as the hairdressers, I got this idea to be a businessman instead of being a hairdresser. When I had the two salons next to each other, so it was about elder people, like about 65 and 70 years old hairdressers when I come to rent chair from me. So I saw them, I said, Benny, I don't want to be 65 and wait for my customers, all right? I don't know how long I want to do it. So I said, I have to take a step back. I have to build a business model. It can work for me. I don't have to work. So people who have a salon or a business, it's if they're in a business every day, they bought the work, but it's not business. I believe business should work for you, right? That's what I believe. So I want to build a system for people like myself. They have the knowledge and experience after the age of 50 or 45. They want to manage. They don't want to be behind the chair and still can make money, not to be behind the chair. Don't have to wait for the customers. So what we're doing today, we want to give it to people who work for us, people who sign up for work for us in Hair Bar NYC. So what we do today, we're starting this program soon. So people who work for us, we're going to collect from them. We want 20% from them, at least. I get 20% from them, and the rest of it, I will pay it for the salon, and the rest of the money, they will pay us as a mortgage. For 5 to 6 years, they can pay it off.
So there's a setup cost, the initial setup cost, 20% they pay, 80% you pay, and then they pay it off over time.
Right.
But they own the business.
100% they own the business. I provide them everything from A to Z. Also, they work in the salon, so it makes for me easier to then know what to do. So let's see if you're selling the franchise to someone else. If they're not from the industry, I don't know how they're going to take this to what direction they're going to take. And for me, I built it from scratch. I didn't have investors. I work from 24/7. I work, and for me to build this, it took a lot. It's still taking from a lot. I'm doing it with a smile. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love what I do. I was waiting to wake up every morning to go to work. I'm waiting for this moment, right? Yeah. So, and I want to make sure it goes to right hands because it's very easy to build. It's very easy to screw. Right, so you want to make sure it goes to right hands and they'll appreciate it. It doesn't mean I'm not going to sell to somebody who comes want to buy the franchise. I will definitely say I want to make sure with the background and with the attention where they go.
So you're particular that they come from the industry, know some knowledge about the industry and more passionate about it when you're picking people who will 100%. Stand up for this. And you're also supporting them because you're putting up 80% of the cash and helping to get this business off the ground for them.
Right, because mostly hairdressers, unfortunately, they don't have money. They're living day by day. And I was there as well. Yeah. It's rare when you make money. Rare you have money on the side. When especially you have a family and things like this, right? So I know what takes them. So I want to make their life easy. It benefits me as well, don't get me wrong. Yeah. But I know it benefits them more because they get something they dream. Every salon, every stylist or person want to have their own business. Yeah. So I want to give them something will work for them. But in return, obviously, one day I can sit and back and enjoy what I built, and I can say I can be proud. And obviously, we're coming from our countries. We don't have these opportunities. And here, obviously, you give this opportunity, you can do this. Yeah. It's like a magic.
Yeah, great. So while there seems to be a lot of serendipity in terms of your journey and how you became successful, of course, in incredible amount of hard work and willingness to do multiple jobs at the same time, like, while running the salon, go learn about trade shows and all these things has gotten you where you've gotten to. But one of the things, getting to a salon chain with 8, 9 locations as you get bigger, this is a people business at the end of the day. The hairstylists who do the work, they have to do a great job. And so how have you approached building the right talent and the skills in your salons? And I know you mentioned something about you call them hair doctors. So I was wanted to know more color. How have you built this culture of people and hairstylists?
So where I started to do my hair, I was always when I started first, I like to teach everyone. So the way I want to build it, I want to have a system. So to have something work for you, you need a system. If you don't have a system, it will not work for you. So we came out first, as we told you, keratin treatments. So we have 5 different keratin treatments. So every salon maybe has 1 keratin or 2 keratins. Everybody thinks keratin should be straight, but no, we customize our keratins for our customers. Some people have a frizz, they want to eliminate the frizz. Some people have a curls, they want to have the curls, but they want to eliminate the curls. So we customize, and I'm very predictable about the jobs I do. So I take to next level. And everything I did, I built kind of a way to do it. And the salons today, they work in same direction where I build it from scratch. So I say professor paid, so we say we have a PhD, professional hairdressers. Obviously, we have to think about hair. It's like obviously you're touching the hair. Hair is something science breeds and life. You have to know what to apply. It's chemistry. We're using colors, so you have to know chemist. So you have to all those things. So obviously, you have a kind of knowledge as also we like a hair like a psychologist. We hear all those stories per the day. So some in a way you can say we are hair doctors, right? We have to figure out the look. You have to match the haircut to your face, have to match the color to your skin, have to match to your eyes. So it comes a lot of elements to be a hairdresser, right? So it takes skills. So we're trying to do today, we were started already, we're trying to build 8 haircuts, 8 highlights, like a catalog. People, customers, the back in the day before YouTube exist, we used to buy a book with the haircuts. Customer comes to come. They know what the YouTube and what haircut you want. So people used to, hey, I like this. So in the back, we used to have a pattern how to cut that haircut. So that's what we're going to do today. We're doing a catalog. People come to our salon, choose haircut number 1, number 2, number 3. So what we're going to do, I want to every location they're going to go, they receive the same results comes to the hair salon. So they don't have to come, so they cannot say, oh, I got somewhere else. So you want to make sure you get the same results same time. Because in the hair, people don't like to change. People like the same thing. You don't change the color every time. You do the same color forever. Some people like change. Young people, they want to go change. We do that too. Some people, I'm sick of it. I want to do something. But they do change. They go back to where it was before too. They do changes, right? So that's what our goal, that's what we want to do. We want to build systematic, and also the highlights. We want to do 8 highlights. The customer can choose what highlight they how they want to look like. Our hairdressers have in the back end how to do that pattern, how much to wait, how to do the haircut, what angle to cut, and get the same results.
So basically a consistency in terms of training and on all these, so the results are always consistent no matter where your guest goes. Great.
That's very important in our business.
Yeah. And I should remember, I have a bunch of friends who went to PhD programs and did PhD. I should tell them next time I meet them, oh, you're a professional hairdresser. That sounds nice.
PhD, right.
Like, And now that Hair Bar NYC, you were, of course, living in New York, built your business. It's, you're pretty vibrant stores in New York. And now you've also moved to Florida and you have open locations here. Where do you see the future of Hair Bar NYC? How do you see it unfolding?
Good question, sir. I always want to be in the sun state. And the thing is, I can tell you that when I came to America, second time, and when I came first time, I told you it was New York very cold. I said, I don't want to be here anymore. But I said, next time I want to go to Florida. I heard Florida is amazing. So I came after I finished the school, the education, I went to Florida. So I was in Florida for 3 months. In Florida, I don't know, 2001. Not like today. Today, a lot of people move off the corner and move to Florida, make it more happen. It was very quiet. Especially I came summertime. Summertime was dead. It was seasonable here. People come to here, they move for winter, come from north to, stay in the summertime. They used to go back to north. So I was working here, different works as a moving. I did a delivery guy. I was delivering this. So basically, one of my family members came to Florida. I was here in 2001. I came here. Said, "Hey, Beny, what you doing? How you doing?" Because my mother always used to send those people. My mother, she's old school. You know, I don't know how she released me from Israel. I don't know how she did, but she let me go. So she always careful, like what I do. So she sent somebody in Florida. He saw me. He said, "Hey, Beny, how you doing? How you making?" I said, "You know, I'm making $250 a week for 6 days. That's it." He said, "Hey, if you want to make money, go to the mother." I said, "Where's the mother?" He said, "In New York City." I said, "It's too cold. I don't like to be there. What are you gonna do?" So look, if you want to be successful, that's where I will go. He says, "Beny, I'm going back tonight I have a car. I'm going back to New York. If you want, you're more welcome to come with me." So I went back to my place. I was renting in a hotel. I used to rent monthly on the beach. It was Golden Nugget, used to call it. And $600 for 2 beds. I used to share with somebody, so 300. But you're not making money. You're making a living, but you're not making money, right? So you know what, thinking about it, I took my stuff. I went back to New York. I came back to New York. So I achieved my goal 16, 17 years later. 2017, I came to Florida. So then I said, you know what? And my friends told me in New York, "Beny, you're doing a mistake, leaving your businesses, going to Florida. You're going to go bankruptcy." So look, I know myself. I know who I am. I know what I'm capable to do, you know, but I want a good life. I want a better life. I work so hard. I achieved this area. I want to move to Florida. So I came back to Florida. We bought a house here in Boca, and I was home. So working from home, my wife was torturing me, you know, do for me, pick up, do this. I said, "I cannot be home. I have to open something, you know, here, right?" So I opened the warehouse, you know, it was a warehouse. I rented a big house, 15,000 square feet warehouse, big, but she gave me good deal. She gave me $5,000 the rent. I wish to have this today, right? So from that place, I moved the whole warehouse from New York to here, and operating from here the warehouse, and kept me busy, you know. Then 2019 to 20, I'm going every morning to pray in the shul. So when my rabbi said, "Beny, I have a guy here who has a plaza. He has one of the tenants. She's living in the salon. Maybe you want to look into it." I said, "I don't want to have enough. I don't want this headache." You know what? I said after that, "You know, your businessman, you should look into it. Just look it." So I went to see the place, and I saw the hairdresser working there. I said, "Look, instead of me buying you out, maybe let me transfer you to Hair Bar NYC. You know, you're still gonna work here. I'm gonna transfer." I said, she liked it. So we did 60-40, blah, blah, blah. And that lady, she was not so transparent. She was stealing money from us when I was not there. And I said, "You know what? This person is not gonna work. I will bought her out." So that salon was in the beginning hard. You know, it's Florida, it's not New York, it's not Manhattan, you know, tourists crazy, you know. Then we hit the Corona. Then I was opening other locations in Hialeah. That was my one mistake, because I was depending online, because my business was online. In Hialeah, people don't use online. It's like a little Cuba, you know. People only speak Spanish. It was in a mall. So I spent over $500,000 to open a store over there. And what happened, that mall being sold over 3 times to different landlords. So the first landlord, the person, he gave me a deal because it was Corona, $10,000 rent with this. I said, "Look, I cannot afford $10,000 rent because of the Corona." He said, "They gave me a deal $4,000. The new buyers came in, they didn't honor it. They want to go and buy lease. Then unfortunately, I have to close the place. Unfortunately, that might one of the place we closed it. Then I took the relocation. The parking lot already building, we're going good. That place used to make 10,000, now making 30,000. 30 and 40. And then we take the Delray place. Wow, that place is the best location. First year, we did over $500,000 in Florida. It was amazing, amazing. So then I started doing the same thing what I did in New York, I started doing here. And now we have 4 locations in Florida. We have Boca and West Palm Beach Gardens. We opened last month, 2 locations at the same time. Now we're opening 1 more location in Lexington Avenue in Manhattan. So now I'm back to track to open a salon, because until today, I get myself comfortable because we passed the Corona, was so much, you know, going on. So now we're in a place we can continue where we started. Good. 2013.
So you expect to keep opening more, but with this new model which you have about...
That's correct. That's correct. Right. That's a new model. Yes, definitely. Right. That's the model.
So as you speak, you know, it can come across like you've learned everything in a scrappy way, you know, been very street smart, listen to everyone, go to trade shows, learn everything. But while we were talking, you were also talking about technology, and you were throwing in words like, technical terms in there. So I was like very curious. So one is, I know you've had your fair share of learning around technology as well. And I think you should share, firstly, how have you used technology to help you drive, your business as well? Because you're not just a craft person, you've also paid attention to software and other areas to learn as well.
So basically in 2013, 14, I learned right away I need a graphic designer. Early, no salon. I had only one salon that time, two salons. I need right away graphic designer. 2013 is already in Manhattan. I need a graphic designer. So I hired a graphic designer. I used to pay them $600 or $600, but they used to do all the designs. So from there, I also hire an IT guy who was managing email campaigns. So what happened is in the Cedarhurst, we had about 900 square feet. Then I went to the basement. I discovered about 4,000 square feet, a whole basement. I went to my landlord. I said, hey, not using this place. Do you want to rent? Say, yeah, $500. $500, 4,000 square feet. Then I brought all the products there, right? So I had my graphic designer and the IT guy. So what I used to do is when I don't have a hair, I used to go downstairs, see what they're doing, learning from them, Then we're brainstorming what we're gonna do this. They used to ask me, Benny, how you want to add, how you want to do this. So we, the first salons, actually, I will assume that time had graphic and IT guy. No, but no salon has those things. They outsource them, all they needed. So I did in the house. That was my success. One of success, I always had somebody in the house doing for me marketing and campaigns. That was my success. Because think about it, the business skills I built last 11 years, if it was not technology, it would take me about 20 years or 30 years to get without technology. Because of technology, I'm here in 5-6 years.
Cool.
That's what got me. I like to do everything. I do construction, I do plumbing, electrician, I can be IT, I can do some designs, not really, but I have a good eye, because obviously to be creative, you have to have a knowledge and everything. I think hairdressers, if they have a good hand, they can do anything. They can cook, they can clean, they can do anything, because the hands is a tool. And obviously if you have a normal brain, you can observe, to knowledgeable, you can understand, you can see somebody does something, you can copy or do things. It makes you, understand, do those things as yourself. We did not born genius, we learn as we go.
Yeah.
Some people born genius, obviously, but some people learn as they go.
Yeah, I think it shows the way you use your hands. It actually shows that you have the ability to the craft with your hands. Actually, even if I didn't know you and saw you somewhere, I would know, okay, this person does something with their hands, kind of stuff. So good.
You know how much money I saved not to have a plumber, not electrician, those things. I did everything by myself.
Yeah.
I had to install lighting, plumbing, everything. It's up to date.
Yeah.
But that's right. You do those things like you order a plumber, $700 just to connect the pipe. What you did in 2 minutes?
So if you had a chance to cut a celebrity's hair, which celebrity would you love to cut hair for?
Interesting question. Never have I thought about it, but I can tell you I used to do the celebrity's hair in 2011. I used to do Housewife of New Jersey. And be honest with you, I don't want to do anybody's celebrity's hair, if you're asking me.
Okay, that's good.
It's very particular, and it's to please them is very hard.
So you've had your fair share of exposure.
So that time they let me know I don't want to be famous.
Yeah.
They let me know because I was about how to be perfect. They were caring about how other people would tell about them. And for me, it was not attractive. That's why I stopped doing the celebrities.
Okay, great.
So
cool. So if somebody were starting off today as an entrepreneur in the hair industry, what advice would you have for them? If you're enjoying the show, we would really appreciate it if you left us a review on Apple Podcasts. It only takes a minute and it helps others find the podcast. You can also follow along on YouTube and Spotify so you never miss an episode.
Don't scare to fail. If you don't fail, you don't know what the mistakes is, and go try it. I think people always making things complicated, things very basics. Start with the basics. From basics, you're gonna figure out. So people making things complicated, that's where they get lost. If you start with the basics, one gonna connect the other dot. When you start making big plans, without starting the beginning, that's where people fail. I would recommend everybody start with the basics, and obviously also listen to others. learn from other people's, others' mistakes, because you don't have to rebuild the wheel. It all exists.
Yeah.
You can take something and work with this to put you on your style, on your, whatever you desire. It should be very simple. I did not born genius.
Yeah.
I just used existing things, and I have a discipline, and I've encouraged not to be scared and just try it.
So I think, your feedback is like what Steve Jobs says. If you're passionate about something, you just go do it, and the basics, as you're saying, and then the dots tend to connect to each other.
That's
and
how it works.
things evolve, kind of thing. So you have to trust in your passion and your...
You trust yourself, and also majority of people put you down. All right, if you come to your friends, I have this idea. Majority of people say, people will love you, they'll be nice, say, okay, good luck to you, but some people will not trust you. I think if you have vision of the picture, it's set up to your head, you can see the vision. Nobody can see it because it's 9 days ahead. If it works for you, you should go with it. Because if you don't have a passion for what you work for, what's the point of working?
Yeah.
I don't feel I'm working, I feel I'm having fun. I don't feel one day I worked, because I love what I do, even though in construction, even because I don't feel that way, I have to work. It's just, part of your life.
Yeah. Great. So though that is the case, you do run a large enough business, you do work, then what do you do to take time off? That's what other hobby or family thing, what do you do to get away from the business?
So first of all, if you tell me vacation, you're torturing me.
Okay.
I love to work. I like to be away. That's my vacation. So I have 4 kids, thank God, beautiful wife and dog. So we have a beautiful family. What I do is I took off sometimes once a month. I go dirt biking. I take my sons too.
Mm-hmm.
And we go traveling, like cruise and stuff like this. But for family, I love to, you have to do those things because at the end of the day, you're working for them. And definitely recommend one of the people I met in Florida. They told me, Beny, when the kids grow, you have to spend time with them. They're never going to remember how much gifts you give them, how much you buy them. They will remember the quality time with them. So I used to work Sundays too. Now I don't work Sundays. I don't work Saturday and Sundays. So I try to spend time with my family, try to do with them. So my kids today, they work out with me, go to the gym 5 o'clock. They come with me 5 o'clock in the gym with me, And dirt bikes. I would play tennis and, play poker with them. I teach them everything I know. I teach them electrician. I teach them everything I can because end of the day, that's your legacy. That's where you're investing. It's your kids, your family. You want to be proud of them.
Mm-hmm.
Always find a time if you wish to. You see, 24 hours, it's a lot of time.
Yeah.
So you definitely, if you wish to, you can find a time to spend time. They don't need much. Like 15 minutes of time a day with them, it's good.
Yeah. Great. So yeah, that was very inspiring, I'm sure, for most people, especially your ability to balance both your personal life and the work. And, it's very interesting how you came with no big investment. You built this whole business on your own as an immigrant into the country. And it's inspiring for others to see that this is possible, definitely, if you just go to work, heads down, and get stuff done. So thanks a lot for making the time for Growth Diary, and it was good to hear your story.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you guys for actually listening to my stories, and that's if obviously can do to someone, somebody can encourage, get some tips, or motivate them. It is already something. That's what we live. We live through energies, through motivations.
Yes.
Sometimes you can hear an idea also motivate you to do your own idea. He says, why I will not, I think everything's possible as long you wish to and you want to. If you're harder, be kind and be firm. If you have those qualities and not to be lazy, you're going to be successful no matter what. America, I think, one of the greatest countries. I born in Russia. I did not grow up I did not born in Israel. I came to Israel when I was 11 years old. So I born in communism. I didn't know difference. I was very happy because I did not know difference. When it came to Israel, wow, the hassle started because over there, unfortunately, it's hard to live over there because as a Jew, we left Russia because we lived around people don't want to be Jews be there. They robbed us. Then we moved to Israel as a kid. 11 now, they don't want me to live over there. So I said, what the heck? Where do you want me to go? So I came to America. When I come to America, well, I feel peace. I said, look, everybody's here. Nobody's mind other people's business. So I want to be here, you know. So I think America is one of the greatest country. Doesn't matter what people say, left or right, or doesn't matter. I think this country gives you opportunity. Not other country guys give you. Look at me. You probably a different country.
Yes.
Everybody's from different, and we here establish businesses.
Yes.
And I think this means a lot. And we're probably sharing the story with others, so they can do the same thing. Because we're not the last person here. People build this America like people like you and me, right?
It's good for you to share that, because I think, as you said, a lot of people find ways to complain about America, but America has been great in terms of supporting immigrants and business and the vibrancy. As you said, I myself, came here to go to college and ended up building a business and all that stuff. So it's a very vibrant ecosystem supporting so much innovation. Yeah,
100%. And I'm glad and thank God I born in the time. So the thing is, I born in 80. So I see I'm getting the benefits of millennium and also old school.
Yeah.
All right. So, it's amazing to go through that experience, living in communism, living in democratic countries, and where you are today. I guess it's a blessing.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Beny. And it was such a colorful story, and it's wonderful to hear you tell the story also. It's not just the story itself.
So appreciate it to come all the way from Seattle to see me.
Yeah. Anytime.
And to be honest with you, what that said is, I'm actually met you a couple of times, and not my first time. It's my third time seeing you, right?
Yes.
And I actually very pleased to meet you. Person, I guess, was a humble to meet me first in my location in New York. You came all the way to meet me as a person and sitting with me in Dunkin' Donuts. And I know people in your level usually don't do that. And it shows a lot about your character, about you, who you are. And I think it's a lot to learn from you. And we need leaders like you to give examples, because the reason is leaders don't get involved to share the story and sharing who they are. And I think what you're doing is amazing. And thank you for that as well, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks. Okay.
Growth Diaries is brought to you by Zenoti.